Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today we're going to be looking at this cool new gadget I got. It is from a company called True. This is the Plasma Lighter XR. So this is a plasma lighter, or better known as an arc lighter. So it basically, instead of your typical lighter that uses butane to make a flame, this uses electricity to shoot an arc across two electrodes, and then you put whatever you want to ignite in that arc. So whether that's a cigarette, a firework fuse, campfire, etc., that's how you ignite it. Alright, so this is a refillable lighter, so you can refill it, but you don't, again, refill it, you recharge it. And it has an extendable neck, as you can see here. And that also collapses, so it can fit inside when the lid's closed. And also it says it's windproof up to 80 miles per hour. I haven't tested that, but the arcs are pretty darn wind resistant, so I'll probably believe that. Anyway, and then down here we see this little symbol, in case it's not coming up on camera. It says, designed in Texas, USA. So, without getting political here, I do find this kind of funny because normally such marking is for when it's made in the USA. This is designed in the USA. So really what it means is that it's designed here in the States, but it's produced in China, which again is kind of ironic because almost all items you purchase are usually in that scenario, right? So to really advertise it kind of doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. My guess is that they're trying to capitalize on the wave of Made in America, but it's not really made in America, so they do the next best thing and say designed in America. Whatever. Alright, continuing on, we'll flip it around. So here on the back, we get this kind of cool little wire diagram here, and it just shows you the different highlights. So again, it's rechargeable, USB, the connection ports there. We'll see, of course, when we open it up. Flexible neck, it's IPX6, water resistant housing. I'm pretty sure there's a gasket on the lid, so when it closes it makes it more water resistant. And then it's lanyard ready with a big eyelet down there that you can attach your lanyard or I don't know, D-ring or whatever. So plasma arc, we already talked about it. Wind resistance, flexible neck, we already talked about that. And rechargeable again. And I believe it's Type C, but I'll look closer when we open it. And then the bottom here just kind of goes through, I said, barcode, and also the yeah, it does say made in China down here on the bottom. So anyway, alright, so now impressions of the packaging. And I'm going to do this one especially for this because they did a fantastic job here on this. Alright, so first of all, I love that it's clear. There is a good amount of information on there, but it's not busy. But at the same time, it is pretty dense with things to look at, both front and back. The other, we'll talk about color. Very good choice here. They used the black. In case you don't know, a lot of times when you want to give, like, usually market things towards like your more male audience, you usually want to kit it into not saying that females can't use this too, of course it's a lighter, but speak as probably more likely not it's going to be a guy type item. Having the darker packaging usually denotes more serious, more masculine. Obviously it's better than having like baby blue and pinks. Okay, but at the same time they don't just go totally dark on it. They do have this nice bright green, so you get that eye-catching light color without making it look too yeah, not manly, right? So, okay, that's good. Also, we're going to talk about here, if you look closely, you can see how that green extends behind the actual item. So it kind of has an outline. You can kind of see it there. So, giving you that whole shadow board type thing. So if you've ever hung up tools, you know sometimes there's like a little outline of the wrench that's supposed to go there. So when you take off the tool, you know exactly what to put back. Just match the picture, basically. I think they're kind of doing that here, which is a cool little touch. And also, we'll talk about the back. Really like the wire diagram. Kind of a, yeah, for us kind of nerds, this is always cool having the diagram with the, looks like CAD kind of the look. And also you can, of course, not only see the accessories, but you see the main item in full display, which is great. And although it's not coming up on camera probably that well, the plastic they're using to house this is kind of coming up there. You can kind of see it. It's a nice, real thick plastic, and the added benefit of that, not only protecting the item, but it also gives it this little shine feature because there's so much plastic. You get that little sheen from the light, which is a little trick that not many know, but that little sheen kind of makes the item sparkle like it's new, like ting, like so. It is kind of a cool little bonus side effect. Excellent job on the packaging, but now let's get to the unboxing. Alright, so I went ahead and got it open. I did it by cutting right along here with a nice big scissor, and then this little piece comes off, and then you can from there kind of dig your finger in where this plastic is, see like where I'm in here, and then you can open it like a book, and then all the contents fall out. Also, they must actually be proud of their product, because if you notice inside here, they do have the security dingy ding tag. So, yeah. Alright. So, now that it's out of the package, what comes out? You get, of course, the main item, which we'll look at in a bit. Hovering over the electrodes here was this little cap, little plastic cap. So we'll look into that in a bit. And then also here, of course, are your accessories, which comes down to a charging cable, which we'll look at right now. Also notice their instruction booklet is kind of tucked in here, uses a way to hold the cables in. See? Alright, so open these little flaps, take out the instruction manual, and then we have actually a couple things here. So we have the charging cable, which is USB-A to, USB-C, right there. And then it also comes with a lanyard. We'll go ahead and look at this right now. So yep, it's a lanyard, quite long actually. So it's quite long. I'll see if I can put it around my neck. See how long. Yeah. Okay. So if you put this around your neck, it extends down to almost your navel, and then of course with this hanging off the end, it'll probably be down there. So yeah. Also, it comes with this quick detach. So you can push this, and then you can separate the lighter or whatever this is attached to from the thing hanging around your neck. As far as an attachment method to the lighter, it uses one of these little thin strings. So you thread it through, make a loop around itself, and then pull the body of it through, and you'll have a nice knot, which basically uses the weight of this to tighten the knot, and then you won't lose whatever. Okay, so that is the lanyard. Now let's go to the main item. I'll zoom in here. Alright, so here we have the main unit. Here's that little plastic cap I was talking about. Starting to think this is just for the packaging, so maybe the electrodes don't pop through the plastic of the packaging. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll keep it around, but I think that's just for the packaging. But moving on. So here we are. Let's do a quick show, and then we'll examine it in closer detail in just a second. Okay, so let's first talk about this. This is that, what do you call it, rubberized type filling, so it definitely has kind of a, not exactly like a rubber bouncy ball, but kind of close to it, so it's a little more dense than that. It doesn't deform when I push, but it definitely has like a texture similar to that of like a rubber or a silicone. Alright, we got the brand logo there, and then obviously there's nothing on the bottom, because again you don't use a butane for this. Here's that eyelet, or what do you call it, to hold, right? So you could get, actually, even though it comes with something like this, this hole is so large that you could probably, again, use like a D-ring or something of your own if you wanted to. Okay, and then we'll talk about the charging port. You can see right there, that's where you plug it in. There is a little hole here next to it. It's probably an LED for a charge indicator. I'll let you know, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Alright, let's talk about the cap. You can see the cap is spring-loaded. Also, they have the brand's name written out there. Alright, so let's go ahead and this collapsing telescopic. Alright, it goes in pretty easy. Comes out. Okay, good. I was worried that you might have to, push it in, but no, it goes in and comes out fairly smooth. Let's see if we can bend it. Okay, yes, so it not only does bend to the side or whatever direction, but it also seems to retain that positioning. Of course, you would straighten it out before you retract it. I'm going to retract it real quick so we can see how the closing works. Okay, so it looks like we have a two-stage lock here. So first you close it, then there's a little bar here, goes over. Yeah, alright. So there you can see it's locked. So to open it, of course, you'd first remove this little black swinging bar. And then that end of its own won't open it. Now we push the button and it should spring open. And that it does. Alright, that works well. As far as waterproofing, let's see here. Okay, so in the lid, there's no rubber gasket here. Instead, let me look up close. I'll be right back. Alright, so it looks like there's a, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like there's the rubber gasket is along there. You can see it right where I'm pointing the tip of my finger. So there's your seal. And yeah, let's look at the prongs real quick. Okay. Now I'm going to go get a weight. Alright, so I just got back from weighing it. It weighs 2.3 ounces or 65 grams. Alright, and then one other thing I want to cover about opening and closing. So our release switch to release the lid, to close it without damaging it, it's a good idea to push this so you see all that little hammer comes back, the little catch hook, and then once the thing's closed, then release it, and then it stays. Well, if you do it all the way. So try again, push this all the way down. There you go. And then of course we'll use the bar to further secure it. But anyway, so now one other thing I haven't covered yet is how do you actually activate it, right? So on this side there's the power button. So push that and that'll be your activate and ignition or whatever you want to call it. So, alright, I'm going to go charge it up and we'll take it from there. Alright, so I went ahead and charged it up, and I'm just going to go over a few things about use regarding how to use it, tips and tricks and whatnot. So first thing is about charging. So you already saw the picture of it when it was charging. This blue LED was shining quite bright, and that's what it'll do. It'll shine blue until it's fully charged, and then that light goes out, so you know it's charged at that point. Talking about charging, they give an estimated charge time of 1.5 hours, which from my charging of this seems about right on. So also, continuing talking about this blue light, it does have other functions other than just a charging indicator. It also shines during use, and well, if you do see it, it'll be flashing blue. If that is the case, then that means you have less than 10% power left. Alright, so now let's talk about actually igniting it, pushing the power button. Obviously will cause the arc to go between the electrodes, and we'll be doing that just in a few moments here. But anyway, so push and it'll fire, the electricity will go between the two poles. When you release, it'll stop. Now, if you push and hold the button in, it will continually arc, but after 6 seconds, it'll just cut off. It's kind of like a little safety feature, I guess, to avoid it from overheating. But if you want it to continue and you weren't done after that 6 seconds, you can release and push again, and it should reignite. Although keep in mind, if you do this too many times, this head here will get quite hot. So obviously if you do that, you'll want to let it cool before you grab to retract, right? Okay, so now with that out of the way, let's get to testing it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and test it out. I have pretty much all the lights in the room off, just a little light on the left here to give the camera something to focus on. Otherwise it would be pitch black. Anyway, so alright, make sure I'm clear around so I don't accidentally ignite anything. Looks good. So here we go. Again. Again. Alright. Alright, so I thought I'd kind of lightly test that what do you call windproofness of the arc. Now, I think the box said it can take up to 80 miles per hour winds before it gets put out, and this fan obviously can't do 80 mile per hour winds, but I thought let's just test it for what it can. So this Cold Sky fan, which I've already done a review on, so check that out if you're interested about this cool portable fan. Anyway, it has a lot of cool features, but what we're going to do for right now is we're going to go ahead and turn it on, highest power, and then I'm going to have the lighter here, and we're going to see if the arc gets pushed out, which I don't think it will. But anyway, at least we can say we tested it somewhat, right? So let me get that. Alright, so the fan's on. You can probably hear it. Okay. Alright, so that's full power. Alright, now let me get this set up. Okay. Lighter. Extending. And what I'm going to do is maybe I'll move this a little this way. Yeah, because we want the wind to go across the arc, right? So, okay, so the arc now is right in the path of the fan. Let's see if I can get the camera in a better position. Alright. And this is the distance in case you're carrying. It's like, what, maybe a foot? Alright, anyway. Here we go. Yep. Alright, so we'll go over a few last things here, and then we'll get to the conclusion. So before that, though, I wanted to go ahead and give you a size comparison. I know I've been holding it in my hand, but everyone's hand's a little bit different size, so I thought I'd get something a little more standard, so I'm going to go ahead and use this Sharpie pen. So this is one of your typical Sharpie pens. I know this one's in red, but it's usually, one with that tip size. So there you go. So I'll put these side to side, trying to keep my hands out of the way as much as possible. And alright, here we go. Let's try to line them up so that kind of gives you an idea of the size. And then we'll also go like this. You can see the thickness. Alright. So, let's also now cover why I decided to pick this lighter up. So I have already quite a few arc lighters, so I didn't just buy it because, ooh, an arc lighter. No, I already have some. But the reason I got this particular one is because of this feature. Now, you might think, well, that's pretty cool, and maybe even think it's kind of a gimmick, but no, it actually has a lot of functionality, especially when it comes to an arc lighter, and I'll explain why. My other arc lighters are kind of stuck in this form, where if you want to light something, you basically got to put it right up to what you're trying to ignite and hit the button, putting your thumb and also your other fingers really close to what you're trying to ignite. So now with a butane lighter, you can get around this usually, if it's not super windy outside, by turning the little flame adjuster and getting the flame nice and tall, and then you can use that as your way to keep your hand a little away from what you're trying to start on fire. Now, with this arc lighter, though, I have this feature, which now allows me to still get the prongs right up to what I'm trying to ignite, but it gets my finger quite a bit of a distance away, and also allows me to reach into tight spots that you couldn't if it was like this. So, there is definitely some functionality there. Alright, so now let's go ahead and cover my usage of this. I'm basically putting this review out only a few days after starting to use it, so I can tell you what so far it's holding up quite well. I actually like the size. It's a little bigger than your El Cheapo lighter, but it's not so big that you can still throw it in a pants pocket and not notice it too much. Also, I do like this grip. I don't know if you see here, but these like this little channel here, you can actually kind of dig your finger in there, so it does give you some extra grip on the device. And and the double lock feature, I feel comfortable enough putting this in my pocket, knowing that two things would have to happen before the prongs would become exposed, and then even then you'd have something to push. But still, you have I guess a double insert here with that bar, so I feel pretty comfortable, and I haven't had a problem with it opening in my pocket. So there's that. And also I do like the colors black and orange, kind of go well together, so yeah, there's that. So I'd say, yeah, this is a pretty good pickup. So in conclusion, would I go ahead and recommend this? Yeah, one part just because of the cool gadget element of it, but I can also see this being quite helpful. And if you really are a diehard and you need your ferro rod, well, I mean, that's small. You can pack that and carry this. It's not like you have to only carry one or the other, right? So there you are.